There are probably some differences, but at the same time, as I said, it is a network. You know, we are not coming from the same places, and our social situation is completely different from here than from Canada or from Europe. This is for sure. But at the same time, we are listening to the same music. The historical references are the same. And we have to face kind of the same issues. Probably we answer to them a little bit differently from one country to the other. But it is probably a music that is quite international, if I can say. And you would find specificities. I'm teaching electroacoustic history, for example. And very often, if I want to give examples of music that are using extra musical references, or that are using music that comes from popular music, for example, most of the time I use Latin American music to express that, because a lot of people have used from here, or in South America in general, or Latin America, I would say, they are using, you know, references to tango, to flamenco, to whatever, different inspiration. The fact that composers in Latin America very often borrow music from the real life, if I can say, you know, references. And this is something that you won't find very frequently in Europe, for example. It's kind of rare. So if there is a specificity of the Latin America music, it is probably where one would find that. It's might be a more sensual music up to a point. I know that it could sound like a cliché, but it is not the case compared to, let's say, the music that is made in the United States, that is a lot more formal, for example, a little bit more rigid. Here you would find, you know, very lively music with a lot of expression and a lot of differences and energy and things like that. So this is probably a characteristic of the South America music. The electroacoustic music, well, my country is a wide country. Canada is a huge country, and I don't think so that there is a unity in the country, because there are different centers first, and most important, there are two different cultures: the French-speaking culture and the English-speaking culture, and it is completely different. These two cultures are completely different. That's true that we are coming from Europe, and that most of our professors, for example, were trained in France, for most of them. But at the same time, afterwards, what is fantastic in Quebec is that we are very close to Europe in our mind, but we are far away physically speaking. So I think that, and also because we are close to the United States, so Montreal is kind of a strange place where both influences merge together. And because of that, I think that our music is probably a little bit more free in Montreal than it is in Europe, where the classic influence is more important and where the society are more rigid. So in my music, for example, I use a lot of rhythms, which is something rare in electroacoustic music. And I'm quite sure that if I would have been born in France at the same time, that the cultural pressure of the society over there would not allow me to use written in my music, where in Canada it was possible, because the structure of the society was a lot more permissive and allowed me to do things in a more free way than I would have been able to make it in France. And now they are doing that now, you know. But 15 years ago it was not the case, I can tell you. And I have had at the time very bizarre reaction of my colleagues in Europe when they were listening to my music, or some of my colleagues, because we are kind of the same kind of color, if I can say Montreal. And I have had very different reactions from European composers saying, strange, these rhythms. But I think it was just a matter of time. So I think that we are Latin people in North America. So it's kind of unique. Well, the future of electroacoustic music, it is a good question. It's quite a brand new, kind of a brand new music. It has 60 years old now, a bit more. We've been through different stages. At the beginning it was all about excitement. Everybody was, wow, 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 fantastic. It was the avant-garde, you know. And it was very popular. Composer did shows in front of thousands of people in the 60s. And then we went through a very experimental process where everything has to be experimented. And I think that it's finished. The experiment age or era is finished now. We are at a stage where we have reached the maturity. It's not necessary to present new works as if it would open a new language, for example. The language is there. Just like the cinema after 60 years. Nobody cares about the camera that filmmakers are using, you know. You go to see a film and you want to have a good film. You say something to people. So I think that we are there. The tools are there, the sound is there, history is there. We have experimented a lot. We know what it works, what doesn't work that well. So I think that it is now time to write works, essentially, to compose and to do good works. And the next, what I'm really hoping is two things, and it was mentioned in a couple of conferences. The first thing is about education. I think that we have to start education about electroacoustic music at a very young age. Child and young people are really enjoying electroacoustic music if you go into a school and you have, you know, synthesizer and whatever, things with whom they can make sounds. The children have a lot of pleasure to do it, because anybody can do it at some stage. Compared to play the violin, you know, if I give you violin and you never play the violin in your life, you will just make very bizarre and funny sounds, and it will take you years before having pleasure with your violin. Which is not the case with electroacoustic music. It is just like cinema. You know, if you want to make a film, you don't have to be trained for 10 years before being able to make a concert. You grab your camera, if you have something to say, you know a bit about cinema language, and then you go and you film your film. It won't be the best film ever, but at least you would have been able to make a film. It's the same with electroacoustic music. The average, or yes, the bottom line is quite easy to jump in. So I think that we have to do that on a regular basis, everywhere. And the second thing is, for me, which is, I've been a concert producer, and still I am for the last 25 years. And a professional concert producer, not concert produced in universities or institutions. Real concert producer, downtown, where people have to pay. And this is a very important aspect of our community, and this is what I was talking about this morning on my own presentation. We have to reinvent the ritual of the electroacoustic music concert to bring the younger generation, which is not that much interested anymore in this musical genre. And we have to find different places. I think that, you know, a concert hall, a traditional concert hall, is probably the worst place to present electroacoustic music. We have to invent, to create different events where we will put the people in a sounding environment that will trigger the senses in different ways. And we have the power to do that. It's possible to do that. I think that we have to think a lot about that, and to put a lot of effort in the future to bring the good pieces in front of the proper audience, which would not be made only of students, for example, or people that are really, really, really interested in electroacoustic music. I think that there is a whole bunch of people that might be interested in electroacoustic music and who doesn't know anything about it, and who will never go to a concert by chance. So maybe we should go downtown and make an event in a shopping mall, just to put people in front of this music by chance, and to show them that it's not dangerous. And it could be appealing, and it could be enjoyable, and you can have a good night, a good evening by listening to this music, and could tell you something, just like when you go to see a film or when you read a novel, for example. We are not supported by the media anymore. Television, radio, newspaper, forget it. Nobody cares about contemporary music anymore. It's everywhere in the world, the same. So we have to define then new way to reach people. Of course, internet, networking, all these things, it works. But we have to be imaginative about different ways. I gave the example of the shopping mall. Maybe it's not the proper thing, but up to a point it could be. It could be. We have done that in Montreal once, 2 years in a row actually. We made a festival in a shopping mall at 5 o'clock when the shops close. So people were still around, but they were not in the shops anymore. They looked at, there was something strange happening, and they went. And suddenly there were 500 people in a show, in an electroacoustic music concert, which is a lot more than the average. How many of these people came back afterwards, we don't know, but at least these people were exposed to this music for a short while, where usually they would not have been there. Well, at the time it was possible. Today it depends. We have done, for example, 2 years we have done a submarine concert into a swimming pool with the speakers in the water. Everybody in swimsuit, and you just go like this, and there was the music and videos up there, and then radio, television came, because whoa, what's that? You know, such a strange idea, and it worked. it worked. And we had, you know, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 different presentations over the 4 days, something like that, every hour. And so it was an event, you know, and then it was possible, yes, of course, to kind of attract the media, because it was, whoops, somebody, whoops, a little bit fizzling around, you know. So it is possible, but it is not possible to do something like that at every concert, as you can imagine. We have also to present good music, and not every time in the water. It has to be in the air from time to time. So, but still we have to be careful about how people come into the concert hall. What is the light in the concert hall? What is the ambience? What do we put the people in a concert hall where, or in a place? It could be in a factory, for example. But how do we put people together in such a way that they feel comfortable at home and open?